The trade-off is clear. Outfield surplus and a need for a second base option is the reason for the Josh Lowe trade.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Rays podcast. Locked On Rays is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network, your team every day. And we are Kevin and Ulises.
And we are lifelong Rays fans who have been podcasting about the Tampa Bay Rays since 2019.
Later on today's show, why the forgotten player of the Josh Lowe Gavin Lux trade could surprise us all. In a few minutes, we discuss why Gavin Lux is poised for a strong season at second base for the Rays. But to start, the Rays' outfield depth and numbers meant Josh Lowe was expendable.
And we're going to talk about all of that thanks to FanDuel. The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. The Josh Lowe trade was about fit, not faith, Kevin. The Rays, the Reds, and the Angels got together on Friday as we were hitting post on our Friday episode with Mr. Evan Klosky. And, well, didn't you know it? The trade came out, I think, same hour we were recording with Evan.
Yeah.
So that was
a little inside baseball here. That's why we are reacting to this news or information 3 or 4 days late, is because we literally finished Friday's episode as the news about the Josh Lowe trade came about. And in that episode with Evan, if you haven't listened to it, you should go back and listen to it. We talked about Josh Lowe 2026 being his last shot, last opportunity to do something for the Rays, and the Rays were like, nope, we're not even giving you that chance. See you later, January 2026. You're not getting till June or July or August or to the end of the season to show your stuff with us.
Yeah, no, you're not even getting to FanFest, which obviously we will talk about on Wednesday's episode. Yeah. But yeah, 3-team trade. Angels receive Josh Lowe, Reds receive left-hander Brock Burke, and then the Rays receive Gavin Lux and Chris Clark. But when you look at the multitude of outfield names for the Rays, and we've talked about this endlessly throughout the offseason, Cedric Mullins, Jake Fraley, Ryan Villet, Justin Henry Malloy, Jacob Melton, Chandler Simpson, Johnny DeLuca, and I'm sure I'm forgetting 1 or 2 names that could potentially have some say there in the outfield. It just became a game of numbers, man. You have to give something away. And I think Josh Lowe is that potential. Hey, you can have something with Josh Lowe. He could explode and become that 2023 guy if you have the playing time that is needed in order to see that.
Right.
The Angels are saying yes to that, while the Rays are probably saying, you know what? With the surplus, let's get us something on second base, because right now the guy that's highlighted is Richie Palacios, and we need something a little bit more sturdy. But what were your first reactions to hearing that Josh Lowe was traded, Kevin?
In some ways, I was shocked. In other ways, I wasn't shocked. I was curious based on some of the offseason comments that Neander and others had made. Like, they seemed really bullish that he would get back on track, that, hey, he's healthy, he's working on his swing, he's going to we're expecting 2023 Josh Lowe. And then somehow, some way, the trade materialized, and the Rays clearly had a need at second base, just because Richie Palacios isn't totally proven, or he hasn't shown the ability to stay healthy. And another way I look at it is, as the Rays were offshooting outfielder after outfielder this offseason, they were also adding outfielders. So it was like a shuffling rotation of outfielders. And at some point you're wondering, man, Josh Lowe might really have some competition this offseason and going into spring training and going into the regular season. And one thing I will say we do have to give the Rays credit for is this was not part of the fire sale. This is not a salary dump, because Gavin Lux is making twice as much money as Josh Lowe is. And last I checked, it's not like the Reds are, hey, we'll eat $4 million of Gavin Lux's contract. No, there's none of that. Like the Rays are taking on $5.25 million, and then they traded Josh Lowe in his $2.6 million. So the Rays actually added payroll, minuscule amount of payroll, but they added payroll in this instance because they, and we'll talk about this in the second segment, but I think they really like what Gavin Lux provides overall as a player, and that him being in a contract year, he's really motivated to do something. But, Josh Lowe, at the end of the day, I can't blame the Rays for trading Josh Lowe. I know in some ways he was a favorite based on what he did in 2023, and he's got a fun personality. He's outgoing, but back-to-back years of just not doing it, there's a lot of guys that they get 150, 200 plate appearances, and it's see you later. So
I think most Rays fans would feel that same way, that, hey, they gave him enough chances. Like 2 years, were there injuries? Sure. Should that count against you? No. But ultimately, you have to put up numbers, man.
Right.
And injury or no injury, I do think that there is always a section of fans that if Josh Lowe, for example, ends up having a really nice year in Anaheim, then you're going to hear the chirps of how dare they trade Josh Lowe. But honestly, like right now, January 19th, we can safely say, I don't feel negatively about this trade because you gave him a shot. It sucks. The human thing is the one that stinks because he does have a great personality.
Right.
He does seem like he connects with the fans, and he was a really fun player when he was healthy to root for. But when you look at your outfield choices, I think ultimately not only what does Josh Lowe get us in the market, which seems to be, well, it can get you a nice piece for second base. But it's also, is his production for 2026 can it be replicated by one of the names that we already have that we don't have to pay $2 million for? And I think the answer that they came up with was, we can come up with Josh Lowe production in the aggregate at least.
Yeah, and there's guys that I want to see what Jacob Melton can do. I want to see Chandler Simpson get full run out there. I'm curious and intrigued by Justin Henry Malloy. Let's see what Johnny DeLuca can do. And in a way, Josh Lowe maybe blocking some of those players that the Rays are really high on. I mean, they acquired them for a reason. I would think the centerpiece, or the centerpieces, of course, are Chandler Simpson and Jacob Melton to really take the ground running and have them more or less in the corner spots and let Cedric Mullins patrol center field. And then the other thing too, that again, we're always going to, Josh Lowe has been synonymous with injuries. And I think the thing that held the Rays up a little bit was the prospect that if he's going to be in the outfield, he's going to be on that Trop artificial turf for 81 games. And that's a risk. And he doesn't have to deal with that in Anaheim with the Angels. So, and look, I mean, if the Angels come calling, you come answering, because I just am not that confident in them as an organization and in their profile. So I would think it is going to have a benefit to both parties, and we'll see what the Reds do with that left-handed pitcher, Brock Burke. But I am in no way, shape, or form upset by this move. I'm actually excited about what Gavin Lux can provide, and I would not be surprised in the least if Gavin Lux puts up a better season all in all than Josh Lowe does.
I don't think that's a bad Green Skittles type of over-under. Who's going to have a better production year at the plate, Gavin Lux or Josh Lowe? Like, it could go either way, honestly. Like, I don't feel and that already tells you, well, it doesn't seem like that would be such a bad trade.
No, and again, I mean, we had a need for middle infield, second base, and Gavin Lux, assuming health, is going to be able to provide that. And we'll talk about that in the next segment, where we turn around from Josh Lowe and we'll take a closer look at Gavin Lux. Every game day during NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts you can apply to the bets you like most. Open your profit boost pack first thing on game day and see what boost you want to apply. The boost let you lean into your game day instinct, whether you're backing momentum, defense, quarterback play, or coaching. The boosts give you more juice on the bets you already like instead of forcing you to bet on something new. And so go ahead, visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Thank you for making Locked On Rays your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. And if you want to take it up a level for just $5, you can join the Everydayer Club and get this podcast with no ads, no interruptions, and members only Discord access. Go to lockedonrays.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. Ulises, the Rays are buying a floor of production leadership for young guys and a bet on a career year for Gavin Lux. Gavin Lux, who has been solid the last couple of years, was really solid this past year. And what I will note in that takeaway that I just put out there about leadership for young guys and knowing what it takes to win, beyond all the stats, we can look at his batting average, his on-base percentage, his contact rate, his walk rate, all that stuff. It's great, fine, dandy for sure. But the key for me is the fact that he has 2 World Series rings. I mean, that makes a difference, that you've been on a team that has won it all. So I feel like that adds a little bit of value in and of itself. And he's a veteran in a contract year, and we know players in contract years, they're usually extra and especially motivated to get that multi-year deal or payday after a successful campaign.
And I think with the clubhouse, you're going to look around the place, and it's going to be either rookie or dude that has had a cup of coffee here, a few boots that are not going to be very fleshed out in MLB. Well, Gavin Lux, believe it or not, is going to look like a veteran, next to all these guys. And that helps because now you have kind of a 3-tiered situation happening with Steven Matz in the rotation. You have Cedric Mullins in the outfield, and then you have Gavin Lux for the infield. And you can add Jake Fraley there in the outfield as well. So it's that is needed in a clubhouse full of young guys. And when you look at Gavin Lux, I like what you said in the beginning there. Like, they're buying a floor of production. You kind of know what he's going to give you year in and year out. So when you look at the OPSs, the last 3 years that he's played in 22, 24, and 25, he was hurt in 2023. 745 OPS, then a 703 OPS, and then a 724 OPS. So an above 700 OPS the last 3 years that he has played.
From the second base spot. Again, we're not talking about a first baseman or a third baseman or a left fielder. It's a second baseman.
Floor of production. You're buying, hey, is this a professional guy who can put at second base for 120 games, 130 games, and give us just normal production? And that is what Gavin Lux is. It's not going to be flashy. There's not going to be 15, 20 home runs. You are not getting the same type of Brendan Lau production. Forget about that. But you are getting something that is above replacement. You're adding the leadership qualities you were talking about as well in the clubhouse. It's just a nice floor of production where you're not going to feel like this is an empty spot in the lineup.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, at the least, I would think is we can expect Gavin Lux to give us 120, 130 games at second base, 700 plus OPS, 350 on base percentage, half a dozen home runs. And that's okay. You can deal with that. You can live with that. And I think maybe you might get a little more than that, because Eric Neander said a couple interesting things about the acquisition of Lux. One is that they're not going to play the versatility game with him. That seems to be the idea, is he is most comfortable and most successful playing second base. And that just, hey, that's all you have to focus on.
Yep.
We don't need you playing third base. We don't need you playing left field. We don't need you moving around the diamond. Just focus on this position. And that should hopefully free him up a little bit to, again, focus on his hitting ability a little bit more as well, and I'm all for having players that are versatile. And that's how, the Rays were so successful year in and year out. I mean, they kind of set the standard with Ben Zobrist, but not every player is comfortable taking on that role. Some guys have, better strengths than others. So I think that the Rays are making a smart decision in telling Gavin Lux right out the gate that, hey, we want you to be our second baseman. We want you to be our starting second baseman, and just go out there and thrive to the best of your ability.
It's already going to be difficult enough coming in from another organization to try to blend in with the guys, with the group of guys and the organization. It's going to be much more difficult to have more variables, more gloves. Like, what do I need to do? Am I covering shortstop too? Second, third, outfield? That's just a lot more variables. If you just tell the new guy, hey, just focus on this, and you're our starter. So you're already doing two great things there. Eliminating variables, eliminating risks, right? And you're also giving him an ego boost as you're the starter at second base. Don't you worry. You don't have to be anything other than what you have been. We want you in everything that you have done at second base. I think that's great psychology there by the Rays doing that too. I don't know, man. I feel like with Gavin Lux here, who, by the way, last season with the Reds hit 269, 350, 374. So good eye at the plate. Not a lot of pop. He only had 5 home runs last year in 140 games. But I feel like what you're going to get is a dude that when he comes to the plate, you're not going to hate it.
He's going to give you a tough at-bat.
Which, honestly, bro, when you look at the names that the Rays are going to have in 2026, who do you put your hand on the fire for? Yandy? Yes. Junior? Yes. I don't care if it's his second full season. I'll put my hand on the fire for Junior. Aranda? Yes. I will put him up there. After that.
That's about it?
Because do we want Chandler Simpson to have another 300 type average and 50 stolen bases? 100%. Does he have the possibility of doing that? Yes. But we don't know for that. That's Cedric Mullins too. Even Cedric Mullins for me is an incognito. I can't put my hand on the fire for Cedric Mullins because of what we saw last year too. That dip in production is kind of scary at times. So who do you put your hand on the fire? And I think when you look at Yandy Jr. and who did we say?
Aranda. I mean, those are really your only power guys that we know of as of right now. We're going to be manufacturing a lot of runs. It's going to be line drive, station to station, stolen base.
So you need a floor. So you need something
sacrifice fly, bunts, all that.
You need something you can count on, and that's Gavin Lux. Jacob Melton and all these guys could pop off 100%, and that would be great. They could be the Luke Rayleys of 2023. Yes, give me that. Yeah. But in case that doesn't happen, you need some steady, I know what I'm going to get. And I think that's why they got Gavin Lux.
Yeah. Gavin Lux, he might be batting second in the order or sixth in the order, just to kind of, thick it out a little bit, depending on how all that goes. And the other thing too about just last point on this with keeping him at second base, trying to get him in a comfortable spot. Let's also remember he's never played in the American League before. I mean, he's played against American League opponents, but his entire major league career has been with the Dodgers and the Reds. So I think that'll kind of help him out a little bit too, as opposed to, hey, you got to play 3 or 4 or 5 different positions. No, just focus on the one as you get acclimated to the grind of the American League East and the rest of the pitchers and competition throughout the American League.
Exactly. But guess what, Kev? There was another name attached to this trade. So let's turn the page and meet Chris Clark, the sneaky, hopefully, upside arm that the Rays don't want you to sleep on. Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Rays, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Chris Clark could be the Randy Arozarena of this trade, Kevin. All right, people, stay with me. Let's jump into a positive next 6 minutes. Just everything is flowers. Let's go toxic positivity here for the
record. Chris Clark is a pitcher, not a hitter.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. So that's what, okay, stay with me. Remember the Randy Arozarena trade that wasn't the Randy Arozarena trade? It was actually the Matthew Liberatore trade, and it was for Cafecito Martinez. And then there was like, oh, yeah, that guy with a funky name is also coming, a Randy Aro, whatever. Arozarena, by the way. Well, that team, the Rays, before the 2020 season, when they did that trade, everybody focused on Cafecito Martinez and what they were giving up in Liberatore. But it ended up being Randy Arozarena, the highlight of that trade. Kevin, if we're in this toxic positivity cloud segment,
right?
Could Chris Clark, a 24-year-old who was a 5th-round pick out of Harvard, like our friend of the program, Hunter Biggie.
A lot of smarts on the team.
Harvard guy, yeah. 2023 5th-round pick. Now, the numbers are not going to shock you in any way, shape, or form. Okay, he's had a cup of coffee at AA, 4 innings. But in this toxic positivity cloud of the third segment, Kevin, I am not going to doubt any arm that the Rays ever target, because they have proved time and time again that they're able to find gems, even if they're knocking door to door selling solar panels.
Yeah.
They'll turn that guy into a 2.20 ERA over 40 innings pitched. They don't care. They'll do that. So Chris Clark could be the Randy Arozarena of this trade, Kev.
Yeah. And let me preface all that by saying, personally, I don't think, and I think you're with me on this, that Chris Clark will ever be as good of a player as Randy Arozarena. I think your point is that Chris Clark could wind up being a better player than the guy that everybody's talking about in Gavin Lux.
Correct.
And can perhaps do more for the organization in his time here than Gavin Lux, who we know Gavin Lux is, he's one and done for as far as we know. And let's hope that Gavin Lux is more successful than Jose Martinez was with the Rays, because we know how much of a disaster that was. We did not expect that. We knew the glove was going to be bad. We knew he couldn't even play first base. But the fact that the bat did not come along like it did with the Cardinals, that was a problem for sure. But I do like what Chris Clark could become and his upside and potential. And that's what we're looking at right now. He's still in the lower minors, just got to AA. But if you look at his profile, there seems to be an inkling out there that he could foster into a back-end starter, which we always need those. I mean, the one thing that stands out to me is the fact that he started 28 games last year and pitched 144 innings and had 153 strikeouts. And I read an article on Fangraphs about him, and they believe that he's got kind of a whippy, loose arm action, which could mean there might be some more MPHs in his arm, and he's close to developing a third pitch. So maybe he's on the cusp of being that, no-name guy that winds up having a tremendous impact for the Rays in some time. But I think we have to be clear that the point is that Chris Clark could be a better player or do more for the Rays organization than Gavin Lux will do in his 1 year with the Rays.
Yeah, exactly. And I hope I was clear, but if I wasn't clear, then Kevin just cleared it up for you guys. So no comments to say otherwise. Yeah.
Where it gets to the point where it's the Chris Clark trade and not the Gavin Lux trade.
There you go. Thank you for joining my Toxic Positivity Cloud third segment, folks. Let's get it positive up in here. Yeah, maybe Chris Clark. Hey, look, Maybe he doesn't, but let's think positively. I mean, this is a cerebral guy, so they like that too. A guy that
Yes.
they can probably talk about what he needs to improve, and it can just be sometimes just a small adjustment. Like we've heard that 1,000 times from pitchers, just like, yeah, they just told me to throw it over the plate and that my stuff works. Like
Yeah.
that's
Just
simple
trust
and
your
it
stuff and throw it
works.
over the plate. That's all you need to do. Sometimes it's going to get hit, but more often you're going to be better than the hitter.
Trust your stuff. Just give him an ego boost. Just say like, hey, maybe not cut that pitch. Like whatever it is that the Rays have done with pitchers, I'm never gonna doubt them. Chris Clark,
Yeah.
hopefully he becomes that guy. But overall, sentiment wise, the 3-team trade, hey, you get some solid production at second base, just floor production, a dude who's been in the MLB. And can we say that you mentioned that something a little bit burying the lead there? Contract year for Gavin Lux. You don't think Gavin wants to show the bleep up and get that career year so he can sign a pretty penny for his bag? Yeah, I think so. Let's get him motivated.
Yeah, get him motivated. This is a great opportunity for him. And the other thing, too, that we may have buried is, as you would expect, he does very, very good against right-handed pitchers. And considering that roughly 70% of the league is right-handed pitchers, that means he's going to get a lot of opportunities to be extremely productive. So
he's your starter.
Yeah, he's your starter. And look, is it going to take the Rays from a 72 win to a 78 win team? Probably not, but it's better than nothing. And I would not be surprised in the least when we look back at the end of the 2026 season and we see the wins above replacement for Gavin Lux being higher for the Rays than Josh Lowe is for the Angels.
Are you willing? Are you now willing to put that as a prop bet?
Yes, I'll put it as a prop bet. Early on,
like
what say you in the YouTube comments? Do you agree or disagree?
Let us know.
And again, not saying, look, I am not suggesting that Gavin Lux is going to be a 5-WAR player here. Maybe 1.5 to 2. And then Josh Lowe is like 1.3 to 1.8 or something like that. You just never know. So on that note, we hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe. And we want to remind you to be one of the first to join the Everyday Club to get your favorite show ad-free and interruption-free and exclusive access to the members-only Discord channel. Check the link in the show notes to learn more on